Well, that's the results of the first bucket of the day. I half filled a bucket last night before the midgie started attacking me too much, and I just had to call it a day. But come back, finished off the bucket, sluiced it, and that's probably the best pan of the trip so far. So it shows that changing up the holes was a good idea. So I'm going to crack on today with the hole I started off yesterday. I've already been and refilled in the original hole that we were working. That's all been levelled off with all of the big boulders that we were pulling out of it and panning up to the side. So I'll show that later on as well. But still, that's a really good start to the day. As you can see, there's a good selection of different size bits in there as well. And I'll say that's the best pan of the trip so far. So it's encouraging signs. So day 6, and finally showing some better signs of gold. So I'm going to crack on and get another bucket done and see what that's going to hold. Now I'm just about to sluice the second bucket of the day. The first bucket that I've actually filled today. As I said, the last one was partly filled yesterday, partly filled today. So again, I'm just using my little DIY prospector sluice. I've got it set up really nicely here. There's a really narrow channel just in between a couple of stones there. And the great thing about this sluice is that it will just fit pretty much anywhere at all. All you need to do is create a tiny little funnel in front of it, and it just seems to work perfectly fine. It never clogs up. It's got some really aggressive matting at the top, and it's got all sorts of different gold hog matting. So if you want to see how I've made this sluice, have a look at my channel. I've got a full video showing how I actually made it. So I'm going to crack on and get it sluiced, and hopefully this bucket's going to have another good gold show. Well, that's the result of that bucket. Another 2 sizable specks slash really small pickers, and probably another 6 or 7 really small specks like that. Those 3 or 4 there. There's probably about 6 or 7 of those as well. So it's better than the last hole was. It's still not groundbreaking gold or anything, far from it, but it's still an improvement. And these are still only really small buckets that we're running here. Oh well, I'm running anyway, my friend still hasn't turned up again. So I'm going to crack on, get another bucket done, and see if it's going to continue to produce as it is at the moment. Well, just a few specks out of that latest bucket there, but the last 2 buckets have actually tried to work different sides of the hole, just to try and find out if there's a hotter side, rather like one side or the other. Obviously this side isn't as good as the other side that I just panned out previously, so I'm going to go back to the previous side, try and work that a bit more, and hopefully find a bit better than just a few specks here and there that I found here. Well, back on the bigger bits. I swapped sides back to the not the last pan where I just got a couple of specks. That was on the right hand side of the hole that I was working. The previous pan where I had a good few amount of specks of larger size was on the left, so I've moved back to the left. I've got a big boulder out, and as you can see, it's starting to pay off that little bit more. Again, it's back on the increase in size again, considering I was only finding a couple of tiny little specks like that. Obviously that one piece there is equivalent to I don't know how many of those specks, and another little bit there, and then I don't know, there's about 7 or 8 really small bits in there as well. So it shows I'm heading in the right direction again. So I'm going to get another bucket rattled out and see what's going to be in that one. Now sluicing, I think this is bucket number 5. Starting to lose track. Just had a little break there, so I'm just cracking on with this again. Hopefully there's going to be another good gold show. Hopefully there's going to be another increase in size as well. We shall see, but as you can see, it's starting to fill up with quartz again, all the way from the mat at the top, all the way down, and especially in the high-low riffle matting as well. That just always fills with quartz straight away as well. But as long as it's always exchanging the material, it should always be capturing any gold that's going to be flowing through at the same time as well. And we've got about half a bucket left of here. and then I'll give it a pan out and we shall see what this bucket's going to contain. Well, that bucket's given up probably about a dozen colours of various sizes. That's probably the biggest bit though, so not really still that big, unfortunately, but still, it's gold in every bucket, gold in every pan. Like I say, there's probably about a dozen in there, just swirled around the place as well. But it's still not as big as I'd like, but still probably better than the bigger hole that we were doing earlier on, so we'll crack on. It's starting to get a bit late now. I'm probably only going to have time for another bucket, maybe two if I push it, but probably just one and maybe prepare one for tomorrow. But it still hasn't been a bad day, both throughout the day, so it's not a bad showing. Well, there's the next bucket down for bigger pieces, and the usual few dots and specks and that dotted about here and that as well, but those are the bigger pieces. I just pulled to one side out of the pan. The bigger bit I'd even possibly consider as a really small picker, because I could actually just take that straight out of the pan and put it into a tub if I wanted to. But again, it's a better increase in size rather than just dots all over the place. I'll probably be able to get one more bucket out for the day, and then there's going to be one more day of the trip left. But finally, at least it's bits of gold of bigger than a dot per pan, well, per bucket, so it's on the up a little bit. So I'm going to crack on and get one more bucket done, and then that'll probably be it for the day. I've just finished the last bucket's worth of the day. Might fill another bucket just ready for tomorrow. Just going to get here and just start sluicing straight away. Just about to clean it out into the pan, but all the way through the bucket, pretty much from early on, I had a little bit that was gluten at me. And if you see that there, that's the first proper picker that's going to be coming out of this hole. So I'm going to take that out and get the rest of the sluice cleaned out and see what else is going to be in it. But very pleased to at least see the first picker, and it's about time as well. So yeah, I'm going to get that picked out and I'll show you it then. Well, there's the picker just plucked out. It's got a nice bit of shape to it, a bit of thickness as well. If the camera will zoom, focus anyway. There you go. See, that's definitely got a bit of shape to it. That's been a nice piece, that. Best piece of the day. So I'm going to see what else is in these sluice. Well, that's just after a quick swish round in the pan, because everything's still going into the concentrate bucket that I started at the big hole. But still a few good sized bits in there to go with the picker as well. That's just a few there. There was a few smaller bits that got swished around as well. I say that was just a really quick pan. Well, quick swish around. I always take my time with the actual panning itself, but I just want to see the results. It was just a quick results swish, so to speak. But yeah, that's not so bad really, especially the size of the picker as well. So I'm going to crack on, get one more bucket filled. Probably won't sluice it, I'll just sluice that tomorrow. So that is the gold for the day, but hopefully there's going to be more to come with the bucket that I'm about to fill for tomorrow as well. And not really a bad day really, certainly glad to change holes. So yeah, I'm going to finish the last bucket and that'll be me done.